Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. He's also a member of the House Oversight Committee. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being here today.
Good to be with you.
I was just mentioning the call that Galanis said Joe Biden, when he was vice president, called into a meeting. It was Elena Baturina and her husband, who was the mayor of Moscow. We understand that Elena Baturina then sent Hunter Biden money. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. This call was on May 4th, 2014. Took place in New York at some party they were at. They stepped aside. Joe Biden calls and is put on speakerphone by Hunter Biden and talks to Ms. Baturina and other folks who were there at that event. Now, I think this is an interesting time, too, because remember, Ms. Baturina is the wealthiest woman in Russia. This is at the same time. It's actually 2 months after Russia goes in and takes Crimea, and there was all kinds of sanctions put on people, but she somehow escaped the sanctions, and then she's paying the Biden business operation here, Hunter Biden and his partner's money, both before and after that meeting on May 4th, 2014.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Did she send a check for $3.5 million to the Biden clan?
Yep, part of this real estate investment entity that they were working on together. But she, in fact, did that. I mean, and that's the big picture. You know what? You played the clip from Hunter Biden. He said baseless inquiry. We got millions of dollars from foreign entities flowing through 20 different companies for what? What was the service? What were they selling? What were they offering? And Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's business partner, told us in his deposition it was for access to the brand, and the brand was Joe Biden. The brand who played rounds of golf, took phone calls and meetings, attended lunches and dinners with Hunter Biden and his business associates. The brand who conditioned $1 billion of American tax money on the firing of the prosecutor who was investigating the company Hunter Biden sat on the board of and was receiving $1 million a year. That's what we're talking about here. So this idea that it's baseless is just ridiculous. The country can see what was going on here, and Mr. Bobulinski, Mr. Galanis will talk about when Joe Biden showed up and when Joe Biden was actually involved in these things. That's what we're going to hear today, and the contradictions of when Hunter Biden testified under oath, what he said versus what all his partners, who he no longer has any relationship with, what they said under oath.
So that's a policy decision. Get the former prosecutor in Ukraine fired. You're saying you believe Joe Biden and his family was paid for making that policy decision to go against the Ukraine prosecutor. Was that one? I'm trying to connect the dots of if they did anything that is actual policy that affects more than just the family, the country, and is he getting paid for that?
The State Department had sent the prosecutor a letter saying you're doing a good job just a few months before Joe Biden goes over there and conditions the release on the money on the firing of that same prosecutor. That prosecutor was actually looking into Burisma and Zolochevsky, the CEO of that Ukrainian energy company. The one before him allowed him to have $23 million that had been seized, allowed him to have it back. The one after him dropped the charges. So the one in the middle who's actually doing the investigation, that's the one who gets fired. And oh, by the way, the State Department, as well as the Interagency Policy Committee, all said, don't fire the guy. Focus on, don't condition the release of the money on the firing of the guy. But Joe Biden makes a game time decision. He calls an audible on the flight over. And it was right after he got a call from his son, according to Devin Archer, saying, hey, we need relief from this pressure we're getting from the prosecutor. I think that's pretty important facts. Remember this too, Maria. Hunter Biden gets put on the board of Burisma, gets paid $1 million a year. Hunter Biden wasn't qualified. He told us that in an interview he did. He said himself he wasn't qualified. Hunter Biden gets asked by Zolochevsky to relieve the pressure they're under. 4 days later, Joe Biden flies to Ukraine and conditions the release of the tax dollars on the firing of the prosecutor, applying the pressure. Those facts are fundamental. They've never changed. So that, to me, is the key. When you couple it with all the other information we have, that's what was going on here.
Democrats also invited former Rudy Giuliani associate Lev Parnas to testify today. They're expected to make this hearing all about Trump. Mr. Chairman, is it going to get lost in the fact that now we're talking about a former aide or associate of Rudy Giuliani? I mean, is this the same subject?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? This is what the Democrats do every time. I mean, last week when we had Robert Hur in telling us that Joe Biden retained and disclosed classified information, he did it because he gave it to his book writer, the ghostwriter, the guy writing his book that he was getting an $8 million advance for. That was his motivation, according to the special counsel. But we're not going to charge him because he's a forgetful old man. That entire hearing, where those were the central facts, that entire hearing, what do the Democrats do? They focused on President Trump because they know President Trump is leading in every poll, and I believe is going to be our next president, which is exactly what this country needs. So I assume they're going to do the same thing today, but that's what they do every day. So I mean, every day they're going to talk about President Trump, you know, big deal.
And then there's Hunter Biden's other business partner, Eric Schwerin. He's been described as the money man, the guy who was the architect of all these shell companies. He told lawmakers that a grandchild of Joe Biden may have put money in Joe Biden's checking account. You've got to explain this one to me. He also said that he had access to Joe Biden's checking and corporate accounts through the end of 2017. He said he never saw any loans made out to James or Sarah Biden. We know that Joe Biden received $40,000 payment directly to him, and he says that was a loan repayment check from his sister-in-law in September of 2017. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to get your take on all of this. First of all, why would Joe Biden's granddaughter be putting money in his account? And how much money have you been able to identify that has gone directly to Joe Biden? Because I know your colleagues, James Comer, the chairman of Oversight, has told me that you've identified $30 million from foreign characters all over the world that have sent money to the Biden clan. And I'm trying to understand how much Joe Biden actually got of that, if in fact he got any of it.
Well, there's the loan payments. There's the $200,000. There's the $40,000 that we can show. They say it's a loan payment, even though there's no documents for it. This is all stuff that the Oversight Committee has uncovered. I mean, this is part of the whole strategy here, moving money around all these different companies. What I do find interesting is everyone Hunter Biden seemed to be in business with, whether it was Devin Archer, Rob Walker, Eric Schwerin, Mr. Gilliar, Tony Bobolinsky, or Jason Galanis. None of them will talk to. They've all had a falling out. Hunter Biden doesn't speak with him, but somehow they're all wrong, and he's the only one telling the truth, even though they all tell things that directly contradict what he said under oath. So I find that interesting as well. But yeah, this is the confusion that exists. Millions of dollars from foreign entities flowing through like 20-some different companies, going to all kinds of Bidens. And that, by the way, it's Hunter Biden and Jim Biden who owe money to all kinds of folks as well. So this is this whole access to the brand that Devin Archer talked about and others have talked about that I think is the central issue here.
A new Department of Justice filing reveals one of James Biden's business associates conspired to defraud Medicare with the alleged leader of the Colombo crime family. What happened here? Because I know that the structure of the deal that James Biden did with AmeriCorps, the healthcare company, was very, very similar to the structure of the deal done between the Biden camp and CEFC, the Chinese oil company. I mean, there's so many questions here. Also, Eric Schwerin, who's the money man who set up all these shell accounts, if Joe Biden says he had nothing to do with any of this, how come Eric Schwerin had access to all his checking and savings accounts?
Yeah, I mean, Hunter Biden testified, well, that was for convenience. Schwerin handled the money, and it just made it easier. I didn't have to pay certain fees when I was going to wire money, certain wiring fees, and just did it. I mean, he came up with all kinds of reasons why they did it that way. It doesn't make much sense to me. I think the final takeaway is, though, like, don't get into business with the Biden crew. I think that's fairly obvious because anyone who gets in business with, there's some kind of falling out that always takes place, and a bunch of people wind up being owed money by Jim and Hunter Biden. So that, to me, is one of the big takeaways. But those four fundamental facts relative to the Ukrainian energy company that Hunter Biden sat on the board of, and he told us himself he wasn't qualified. Those four facts with that. He was put on the board, he get paid a bunch of money, he wasn't qualified to be on the board. He was asked to relieve the pressure that was coming to the company that the board he sat on, and Joe Biden took action. I think those four facts tell the central story. And then all this other stuff, I think, buttresses this game that was being played, providing access to the brand.
Do you know, did he cancel the China initiative when he first took office as president and get paid for that? Because we're all questioning why he's so soft on communist China. And you and your colleagues have identified money going to this group from China. And I was stunned when he canceled the China initiative when he first came into the Oval Office.
Again, who knows why, but it does seem strange that happened, and it happened on the timeline that it did. But again, we don't know for sure. We don't know the reason why he did it, but it sure seems strange that he did it.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. We'll be watching the open hearing today. We appreciate your time.
Thank
Jim
you.
Jordan on
All right,
Capitol
take care.
Hill.